So, what are the common mistakes that people make when they try to acquire an English accent? Hi, I'm Wayne, and I'm going to tell you how to avoid these common mistakes to acquire an English accent. The first common mistake is focusing too much on academic English. I'm not saying academic English is not important. It's just that when it comes to accents, it really doesn't help much. Just think of this. Your Chinese exam scores don't affect your Chinese accent. Your Chinese accent won't upgrade if you're good at academic Chinese, and your Chinese accent won't downgrade if you're bad at academic Chinese. So academic doesn't directly correlate to accent. English native speakers with flawless English accents may also score low in English exams. So stop focusing too much on academic English. The second common mistake is thinking native speakers know how to teach you accents. They may be very good at performing their accent, but most of them still can't teach you right. If you don't believe this fact, just think of this. Chinese native speakers' Chinese accents should be unpickable. But do you think most Chinese native speakers can explain their own accent in depth? I don't think so, because if most of them really do, then why are there still so many Westerners not able to speak with a Chinese accent when speaking Chinese, even after being taught by Chinese native speakers? Do you know why it's harder to explain your native accent to others? It's because the earlier you start learning something, the more likely it becomes second nature to you. So if you have a flawless Chinese accent, you also won't be able to explain the traits of the Chinese accent unless you dig deep into it. Similarly, if English native speakers have flawless English accents, there's less chance for them being able to explain their English accents since they acquired that accent at a very young age. If you really want to know how to choose a teacher for you, you may watch this video. I'm going to put it in the description below. The third common mistake is thinking your ears are reliable without any assistance. I'm going to tell you why your ears aren't that reliable anymore. I'm not sure if you know this, but there's a critical period for learning almost everything, meaning it will be harder to learn after the period. For most skills, the critical period ends at around teen ages. Unfortunately, according to this study and this study, the critical period for learning how to distinguish different sounds ends after you're 12 months old. So, without further assistance, it's very hard for a normal person to distinguish sounds that are different outside their native language. For example, la and ra fall into the same category in Japanese, so most Japanese speakers do not know la and ra are two different sounds, and are not able to distinguish between la and ra. Also, I and I fall into the same category in Chinese, so most Chinese speakers do not know I and I are two different sounds, and are not able to distinguish between I and I. So to solve this kind of problem, just relying on your ears is not enough. You have to first be aware of the existence of their difference and feel it with your mouth by following certain phonological instructions. The fourth common mistake is not putting enough time on output. Although I agree input is essential for learning anything, the output is just as, or not, even more essential. Do I need to explain more about this? I'm not going to pull up another research again for this one. Just ask yourself, do you find it easier to learn something if you actually did it rather than just watching or listening? I believe you have an answer in your head. So what you need to do is to actually speak more English as I'm doing right now. The final common mistake is not evaluating correctly. For any skill, the best way to evaluate is to refer to the comments from people in that particular field. For example, you want to ask a professional basketball player or basketball coach, not some random kid or random parents to evaluate your basketball level. You want to ask a professional singer or singing coach to evaluate your singing level. So if it's for English accents, you want to ask an English native speaker or an English phonologist that specializes in accents. Does that make sense? So please, don't find a random friend or a random teacher whose accent is nowhere near standard to evaluate your English accent. One more thing. I know some mobile apps can help you evaluate your pronunciation, but it's believed that they cannot evaluate your accent. Why, you may ask? First, it's because accents are not just about pronunciation. It includes other factors too. Second, it's because, unlike in Chinese, there are a lot of length differences, weight differences, and linking rules between different syllables in English. So, in normal English speech, the pronunciation of certain words will be affected, which may sometimes differ from the original pronunciation. Yes, all these rules are explainable, but not many know all of these rules, so I doubt the developers of the apps inserted all these rules in it. So it's okay if you want to evaluate your English pronunciation through mobile apps, but please, if you want to evaluate your English accent, ask an English native speaker or English phonologist that specializes in accents. Let's review the 5 common mistakes again. Number 1, focusing too much on academic English. Number 2, thinking native speakers know how to teach your accent. Number 3, thinking your ears are reliable without any assistance. Number 4, not putting enough time on output. Number 5, not evaluating correctly. So, did you make any of these mistakes? Tell me in the comment section below. In the end, if you want to acquire a standard English accent, click the link in the description below to get a free gift. This video ends here. See ya!